Welcome to my shop. My name is Guy, and today I'm going to start a new project, which is a table. Now, I have made a scale model of it, which I've done many times in the past for other projects. It's going to have a 24-inch round top. The height is going to be 26 inches. It's going to have a curved skirt that goes all the way around and turned legs. Now, there's going to be a couple significant challenges for me on this project. First of all is the round skirt. I have to make this completely round, so I can't use bent laminations on it. The second thing is the top. It's going to be a cherry sunburst veneer top. So there's going to be 12 segments that flare out in a radial pattern with a curved, curly maple border around the top. It's going to be a lot of fun to make. Now, the genesis of this project happened a couple weeks ago. The nice people at Fine Woodworking magazine reached out to me and asked if I'd be interested in doing a guest blog on their website. So, of course, I said yes. And I started looking for different articles in their magazine that fit the project that I wanted to do, and I did find a couple. Now, down below in the description is a link to the Fine Woodworking website where they've posted my blog, and it explains a little bit more about this project, and it gives you access to those articles. So I'm going to bring the camera in a little bit closer and show you some of the pieces I've got here. As far as seeing the model, let me get this out of the way. I've got some notes on top of there I need to keep for later. Now, this is a full-scale drawing looking down on the piece. It lays out the curved rails, it also lays out the legs, and also the joinery on the legs. This piece is going to be instrumental later on when I start making the jigs and templates for this, to create this piece. And there's a lot of jigs and there's a lot of templates I need to make. Let me get this out of the way. This is a design for the top. I mentioned it's going to be a sunburst pattern. What that means, it's going to radiate out from the top. It's going to be a cherry crotch veneer, and there's 12 segments. Now, around the edge, there's going to be a curly maple border. It's going to look really, really cool when I get it done. First, I need to start on making the legs. So let's get to that. Well, I've got two pieces of maple here. This is actually the same board cut in half. And it's almost 2 inches thick. And if you look right here, there's a lot of nice straight grain going pretty deep on the side right here. And if you look, you see the growth rings are going this way. I know it's hard to see on camera, that's why I'm drawing it. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to flatten one face of these, edge joint one side, and then I'm going to cut about 4 1/4 inches out of here. And that should give me nice straight grain going corner to corner, which is rift sawn. It's really going to cut down the amount of cathedrals that you see on the legs themselves. I'm getting ready to release 2 of the legs from one of these blanks, and I'm going to do it over my bandsaw. Kiln-dried maple typically has a lot of tension on the inside of it, so to cut these billets, it's much safer to do it on the bandsaw. So I've got the 4 leg blanks here cut out, and I'm going to use my thickness planer to get them square. I don't really care how thick they are right now, I just need them to be square all the way around. So I'm going to run them through first on this face, then rotate it 90 degrees clockwise, and then just keep running them through, spinning the pieces until I get all 4 legs perfectly square. So I've got the 4 leg blanks out of the planer, and they're all perfectly square, not only width, thickness. I guess width and thickness are the same thing on this right now. So I'm going to let these sit for about 24 hours, and I'm going to go through the milling process again so I can get them nice and square. So after milling these legs, I let them sit for a couple days, and they did twist a little bit, so I milled them again. They're now at 1.5 inches thick, and I'm going to turn these legs. Now, I've already done a test leg. This is something I do quite often. It didn't come out exactly as I hoped, but I still like the design. I'm going to extend this right now, this is 4 inches. I'm going to extend this down to 4.5 inches. I'm going to do something a little bit different with this bead, but that's going to start here at 1.5 inches and then taper down to about 1 1/8 inches, maybe 1 1/4 inches on this end. I didn't do a real good job on the taper in this, but I hope to do better when I actually turn the real pieces. Well, if you've ever seen my videos before where I've turned, I've admitted I am not an expert at this, but I do try, and I think I'm getting better. You'd think after this many times I'd be better at it, but it is what it is. So I've marked out the first line here at 4.5 inches. That's where I'm going to make the first cut, and there'll be a pommel here, and then I need to make this round all the way down about 1.5 inches. So I've got this one piece here in the round, and it's just about 1.5 inches, maybe just a little bit under, maybe a 1/16 under, and that's fine. So I'm going to continue down this, and like I said, get this in the round. So after I got that piece in the round, I did taper it down to about 1 3/16 from 1.5 inches. And it's just a nice gradual taper. I don't want anything drastic, but I do want to lighten it on the bottom a little bit. I've got the transition done. The next thing I need to do is I've marked this out. I need to put that little cove detail, or the bead detail, right in here. So I've got the bead detail done. Next comes sanding, sanding, and more sanding. So I'm going to start at 100 grit, work my way up to probably 120. The last pass I'll actually do with the grain, hopefully remove any scratch marks. And this one will be done, and then I can do the other 3. So I got the 4 legs done, as you can see. They came out pretty nice. I like turning, but man, does it leave one heck of a mess. There's dust all over everything and shavings. Time to clean up. So I've got the round skirt here laid out on my full-size template. This is actually going to be 2 halves of that whole circle. This is going to be a half, and this is going to be a half. On each end, these are going to be connected to the legs with dominoes, but at the apex of the circle, this is actually going to be connected with the bridle joint. So I need to take 2 of the legs and actually create a through mortise that goes all the way through here. And I'm going to do that on my mortising machine. I've already determined which 2 legs are going to get those bridle joints cut in them. And first thing I need to do is to mark those out. So I need to be a 1/2 inch in from each side. And then 3.5 inches down to the bottom of the mortise. So all this material right here is going to be removed all the way through the top of this leg. So I've got my mortise machine set up to cut the mortises. Now normally I would cut mortises in a leg before I turn it, but since these are through mortises and all this material right here is going to be wasted away, there'll be nothing to attach the tailstock to. So I've had to make a couple considerations here. First of all, I had to put a backer piece down here, and that's because when the bit goes through, I don't want any blowout on the back. The second thing, it's round on one end. I feel pretty confident the hold down is going to keep this flat, but I've got another piece of material back here with just a small shim to help keep that level. Another thing is I put a board here, which is just a spacer between the rollers to help keep this up against here. And I've also added a stop. Since both legs are identical, I'm going to start by pushing it up against the stop, cutting the first mortise, and then moving the rest of the material away. This gives me enough meat all the way around the chisel on here to make sure this bit doesn't wander at all. I'll start here and just go all the way down. So there's the finished through mortise, and it came out real nice. It's nice and square edges on both sides, and I just need to set the machine up and cut the second one. So I've got the legs turned, I've got the joinery cut on 2 of the legs that are going to receive bridle joints. Next time I'm going to work on the curved rails for the piece. It's a pretty interesting process of how I'm going to do it. They're going to be veneered with some shop sawn maple veneer. Should be a lot of fun to make. So as always, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments section below. And thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.